What's up, you guys? Today we're in Todos Santos. We're gonna be diving Point Lobos, which is just right over there. We saw this one guy come out with 2 huge fish there, and he said that he was diving in just around 40-45 feet, which is 15 meters. So we're gonna be trying to get some of those big fish too, and if I end up getting something, that's gonna be the first fish I've caught this entire trip, so that'll be really awesome. Hopefully I can take something back to the US because I want to take fillets to like everyone, but I've got nothing so far. So we're gonna be going just out there. This should be fun. We're on the Pacific side instead of the little sheltered area on the La Ventana side, so it's definitely not as calm. The water should be a bit cooler, but it doesn't look too rough today. I actually took everything in the Series 3 sports tube and all my stuff fit. I put around 70 pounds of gear in here, and it only cost me $35 to ship on the plane here, so that was pretty nice. And yeah, let's just go down. I'm gonna get changed up, we're gonna check it out, and I'll probably take one other video. Maybe I'll put in some drone footage. So we're pretty much all set up. Right before we got to the beach though, the local guys that run all the pangas, they called us over and told us that lobster are a no-go here, that they're protected, and also that we should only take 2 snapper max, which is kind of funny because it looks like there's buoys out over there, and the only thing I can think of that has buoys right next to the shore and kind of along the coast, other than anchors, which they don't use because they have the pangas all on the beach, are lobster traps. So I kind of got the vibe that they're just protecting their lobster traps, but maybe not, maybe they're just letting us know. And also we saw a truck drive from here just 2 days ago with tons and tons and tons of fish, and they weren't huge fish, they were pretty small. I think they were snappers, so they had a bunch of baby snappers just filling up a whole truckload, but they told us to only take 2, so that was kind of sus. One of the guys was picking up a machete in the background while the other guys were talking to me, and they also yelled at us to come over, which was kind of rude, and I feel like they were trying to intimidate us out of this spot, but we are going nonetheless, and we're all set up to go. All right, let's hop in. So hopping right in, I saw all these bait fish, which I took as a good sign because that might mean there'd be some larger fish hanging around. Then from the surface, I spotted an anomaly. There looked to be a rock that was swaying, and immediately I knew it was an octopus, just because I had already seen one on my previous shore dive in a nearby area. As I ascended from the dive, I almost ran into the other diver, and while I wasn't too close to his gun, if I had ascended from under him and he was pointing the gun down, that would have been bad, and just goes to show that you need to know where your dive buddy is at all times. And it also shows that the benefit of one up, one down isn't just for safety, to watch each other's backs, but it's also so you don't harm each other on the dive, because even though spear guns might not seem like actual weapons, they can be lethal and they're sharp, so bumping into one or accidentally shooting one at someone else can have some major consequences. And my speculation on the buoys turned out to be correct. This buoy was attached to this lobster trap, which looked like it wasn't in use, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were more out there. Nonetheless, I believe lobster are closed off to all non-citizens. We continued our swim on further out while doing occasional dives. We did see a lot of smaller parrotfish like this one below, and some triggerfish like the one on the top of the screen right there. They were a pretty good size, but I don't know if they're very good to eat, and there was no shortage of baitfish. On top of the hundreds of baitfish out there, we also saw this huge school of yellow-tailed fish. They're not yellowtail, but they are maybe between 12 and 16 inches, and there were a lot of them. Around mid-dive, the other diver let me know that he saw this huge grouper underneath that boulder around 45 feet down, and he was going to go try to shoot it. I saw him shoot his gun inside the hole, and then he came up with this.
What's up?
I missed the big one.
Alright.
I gotta tell you.
While he did shoot the wrong one, he told me that the big grouper was still down there, so I went to go take a look. I borrowed his dive light, dove straight down, 45 feet deep. My mask was leaking a little bit, but I laid down on the floor, fiddled with the dive light that was running out of battery, and tried to get a good look inside the hole. I ended up seeing those red fish in the back. I'm not quite sure what type of fish those are, but it was definitely not the grouper we were looking for. I saw a decent sized parrotfish, went down for it, lined it up, but then didn't end up taking the shot. As you guys know, I'm pretty hesitant on the trigger. I don't just fire on any fish, and usually I like to make sure that it's a pretty good size, and this one just wasn't. It was slightly smaller than the size I wanted. So I continued my search, venturing even closer to the rock cliff, where it was only around 10 feet deep, but visibility was really nice, and I saw that huge parrotfish just swimming under that one rock. After observing it for a little bit and getting a feel on how the swell would affect my swimming and affect my shot, I took a dive down to try to get a closer look. I thought I would be able to use the rock closer to me as cover, pop out last second, and then take a shot on this parrotfish, but it saw me before I saw it, so it scrambled right underneath the rock again, and I didn't have a dive light, so I couldn't see anything. Conditions were pretty choppy near the rock cliff, but not to the point that I was outside my comfort level. I just kept track of where the waves were coming from and where the swell was going to push me to next, and just try to keep that in mind while I hunted for this fish. And I was determined to get it because it was the best fish I had seen the entire day. I tried looking under the rock a couple times, but I just could not see anything. In hopes that the parrotfish would come out of the hole eventually, I gave it some space, I left for a while, and sure enough, I caught the parrotfish making a run for it. I should have just waited on top of the rock that it was hiding in, and waited for it to come out and taken a shot from an angle where it couldn't have seen me, but I didn't do that, and I scared it back into the hole. Before it could get any further, I took the shot. As you could tell from the sound, that 110 gun was a bit OP to be doing some reef hunting, but it all worked out in the end. Since the gun was set up for blue water spearfishing, the shaft was not connected to the shooting line, and I had to make a quick grab for it. And this fish right here is the only fish I caught on the entire Baja trip. So I quickly put the fish on the stringer and then bled it out to preserve the meat, and it was time to go hunting again. At this point in the dive, we were heading out, but I saw two parrotfish bigger than the one I caught swimming around. My gun wasn't loaded, so it took me a while to put both bands on, and when I did, one of the fish had already swam off, but one of them was hiding underneath this rock. It was too quick to catch, and for whatever reason, it got spooked even though it was under the rock and couldn't even see me from there. So my GoPro ran out of battery and I didn't have any more batteries, but this was the catch. This is the parrotfish I caught. It ended up being 3.68 pounds and 20.5 inches. This is John's catch over here. That's another parrotfish, a smaller parrotfish. That one we have not identified. At first we thought these were small snappers, and then this is a grouper. That's the catch.